So let's talk about a topic that comes up all the time when it comes to EB1A profile building, and that is what is field of expertise, and how do you define field of expertise? This is something that people even ask after they work with lawyers or start working with lawyers, and the reason is because it's not immediately apparent what their field is, sometimes even to their lawyer. So in this video, we'll be covering what it means to properly define your field of expertise, and my understanding is based on conversations with quite a few top immigration lawyers and also having worked in tech for around 6 years. So my answer will mostly be focused on my experiences in tech and also experiences working with top immigration lawyers. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason and I work with several top immigration lawyers, which is where my EB1A profile building insights come from. I also run a paid newsletter for $12 per month, through which you can get access to my newsletter resources, which includes a profile building opportunities database that lists over 400 opportunities categorized by field and criteria. You will also get access to my private group where members have been able to find co-authors for papers and articles, have been able to find opportunities shared by other members, and have also been able to find collaborators in general for profile building. You will also get access to upcoming virtual events with top immigration lawyers where you will be able to ask questions about EB1A. If you're interested in these resources, check out the link in the comments. But going back to field of expertise, what is field of expertise? It is not as simple as just your industry, because simply saying, say you're a top AI professional, simply saying you're one of the top AI professionals in the field of AI is just something that's going to be very difficult to prove. What you want to do is what everyone talks about, which is niche down, but it's a lot more than just niching down. It's more about presenting some way of thinking about how you've risen to the top of your field to the officer such that they would agree with your definition and therefore accept your claim that you've risen to the top of your field. How you do that? Well, there are a couple of ways. First way, and it's not like this is an exhaustive list, but there are a couple of ways that I've seen sort of make more sense. The first way is defining your field of expertise in terms of the problems you help solve. Perhaps you are very good at solving a particular kind of problem for organizations in your industry, and you're able to show that you are able to solve that problem at a much higher level than all the other professionals who work on similar problems. For example, say you work in AI and you help solve a very particular kind of cost optimization problem, and you're able to generate hundreds of millions in cost savings for the companies for which you have worked, and in general, other professionals who occupy this function within similar organizations are only able to save millions in costs. That's a strong claim for comparing how you have risen to the top of your field relative to other professionals in this field that you have defined as the problem of cost optimization. That's just one way to think about how to show that you've risen to the top of your field based on a definition of field that makes sense. The other way, or another way, is to show that you are able to occupy a function within an organization at a much greater level, or be able to show that you're one of those top people within this function within your organization relative to other people in similar functions in similar organizations. So let's say you're a director of engineering. This is a particular function within an organization. If you want to show that you're one of the top directors of engineering within tech companies or very large tech companies, you could talk about the projects that you have worked on. You could talk about the outcomes you have created. You could talk about the kinds of impact you've had in your field. If you're able to show then, relatively speaking, that you are a very top director of engineering based on these results, based on these outcomes, relative to others, then you have a much stronger claim for showing how you've risen to the top of your field. And another way is to show that you are a very respected technical expert within your field. You have a level of technical expertise that is much greater than what others have been able to show. This is another way to show that you've risen to the top of your field. If you're able to show that you are an expert in a particular area of technical expertise, and that because of the outcomes you have created, again, because of maybe some sort of benchmarks within your field, you're able to show that you're much higher relative to others in your field. Again, that's another way to show that you've risen to the top of your field. So there are quite a few ways to show that you've risen to the top of your field. It's not as simple as just saying, I am a top expert in a particular industry. That's very difficult to prove. So create these frameworks, create these metrics for comparison to be able to communicate to an officer that you have risen to the top of your field.